Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So when you hear the name Chiang Kai Shek, what's the first image that comes to mind?
For most people, I'd say it's the leader who lost to Mao Zedong.
Exactly. The nationalist head who was defeated and then retreated to Taiwan.
But that's really the end of his story. The crucial part, the part we're digging into today, is his ascent.
And that's our focus. We're looking at the period from the late 1800s all the way up to 1928.
It's the story of how Chiang Kai Shek, or CKS, goes from this relatively unknown soldier to the absolute undisputed leader of the Kuomintang, the GMD.
It's an incredible transformation. And the sources we've looked at show a man with just relentless ambition, backed by a very sharp military mind.
He didn't inherit this power, not at all. He seized it.
Through what? A combination of tactical moves, building the right alliances, and, well, being pretty ruthless when he needed to be.
And understanding this rise is, absolutely essential if you want to understand the entire context of the Chinese Revolution. We're tracking how he built his own loyal power base.
How he got that critical mentorship from Sun Yat-sen.
And crucially, knowing the exact moment to cut his enemies loose.
So our mission for you today is pretty simple. Let's unpack how CKS, who was really a newcomer on the scene, outmaneuvered all these powerful warlords and his own political rivals to take command of China.
To really get a handle on the man, you have to start at the beginning.
Right, his foundations. He's born in 1887 in Zhejiang province. His family was, moderately well off?
Moderately, yeah. Merchants and farmers. But the key thing is his path was never going to be academic. It was always, always military.
And that starts pretty early. 1906, he's at the Boating Military Academy. But it's his time abroad that really sets him apart.
For Japan,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Japan was the crucible for him. From 1907 to 1911, he's studying at their premier officer training school.
And we're not just talking about learning how to drill troops here.
Oh, not at all. He actually served in the Japanese army for 2 years. He's absorbing this deeply ingrained Spartan ideal, this modernizing vision that the Meiji military had.
So he sees what a modern, disciplined army can do.
Exactly. And he's comparing it to China's decaying imperial forces. It's night and day.
And at the same time, he's mastering military discipline. He's having a political awakening.
He's in Tokyo, surrounded by these young, zealous Chinese students who are all plotting against the Qing dynasty.
And they convert him. He joins Sun Yat-sen's revolutionary group, the Tongming Way.
So now he's got this potent combination, military expertise and revolutionary fire.
Which makes him immediately valuable when the 1911 revolution, the Xinhai Revolution, kicks off.
He races back to China, and he's not just talking the talk. He's on the battlefield, commanding artillery units against Qing forces in Hangzhou.
He continues fighting over the next few years, trying to help Sun Yat-sen against figures like Yuan Shikai. But then he kind of disappears.
He does. For about 2 years, he just falls off the map in Shanghai. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, because this isn't just a quiet period for him.
Far from it. Between 1916 and 1917, while he's supposedly in obscurity, he's actually deepening his connections with the Shanghai underworld.
You're talking about the Green Gang, the King Gang.
The very same.
Yeah.
A powerful secret society deeply involved in everything from financial deals to controlling the streets.
Wait, so the man who will become the leader of nationalist China, who admired Japanese discipline, he's working with a criminal syndicate.
It seems like a huge contradiction.
A massive one. Why?
Pragmatism. Pure pragmatism. You have to remember, the Chinese state at this time is incredibly weak. It's fractured. If you want to get anything done in a city like Shanghai, raise money, suppress rivals, you have to deal with the power that's actually there.
And that power was the Green Gang.
They had the muscle and the financial network he needed. It shows he was willing to do whatever it took.
So he's building this non-state power base,
Yeah.
completely separate from the military.
And that network, those underworld connections, would prove absolutely decisive later on. He built it when he was weak so he could use it when he was strong.
Okay, so he's got military credentials and these, let's say, street-level connections. Where does he go to build his political capital?
He attaches himself to the one figure with true national legitimacy.
Sun Yat-sen.
In 1918, he rejoins public life and the GMD, and that close association with Sun becomes the absolute foundation for everything that follows.
And Sun Yat-sen's main goal is reunification. He wants to end this warlord era.
But the GMD, as it wasn't up to the task. It was modeled on Western parties. It didn't have the military teeth.
So Sun makes a huge pivot.
A critical one. He decides to reorganize the GMD along Soviet lines. He saw the Bolsheviks' efficiency, their single-mindedness.
He's not endorsing communism, though.
Not at all. He's endorsing their organizational strength. He wanted their structure.
And CKS is right at the center of this Soviet experiment. He even goes to the Soviet Union in 1923.
He does, for 4 months. But it's reconnaissance, not a conversion. He's not there to read Marx.
What's he looking for?
A blueprint. He's studying the Red Army, its discipline, its structure, its political commissar system. He wants to build an army that fights for an idea, not just for a warlord's money.
And he brings that blueprint back with him.
He does. And on his return, Sun gives him the perfect job. Commandant of the new military academy at Whampoa.
Whampoa, this is the heart of his power.
It's his crowning achievement in this period. Because it's built on that Soviet model, it doesn't just teach tactics. It fuses military training with political indoctrination.
So the graduates are loyal to the nationalist cause.
Yes, but more than that, they're loyal to him. To Commandant Chiang, this is his personal army.
But relying on the Soviet model had to create problems. You've got Soviet advisors all over Guangzhou, and Chinese communists are even being admitted into the GMD.
He was walking an ideological tightrope. The sources are very clear on this. He was personally anti-communist, very wary of Soviet meddling.
So why tolerate it?
Because he needed them. He needed their money, their advice, their equipment to build Whampoa and the army. Soviet advisors actually wrote back to Moscow saying CKS was hostile to communism.
That balancing act couldn't last forever.
And it didn't. In 1925, Sun Yat-sen dies, suddenly, and he leaves no clear successor.
Which must have thrown the GMD into chaos.
A total leadership crisis. You have the left-wing faction under Wang Jingwei, who wants closer Soviet ties, and the right-wing faction under Hugh Hanman.
And they're all just stuck in political infighting.
Exactly. But CKS, he just sidesteps all of it. He doesn't win through debate.
He wins because he has the guns.
He has the only effective fighting force, the Whampoa army. It's a stark lesson in the politics of the time. Military strength was political capital.
And that capital pays off. By 1925, he's commander of the Revolutionary Army.
And by 1926, he's in charge of the 100,000-strong National Revolutionary Army, the NRA. His military base is secure. The time for conquest has come.
Which brings us to a pivotal moment, the Northern Expedition, the campaign to finally unify China.
Launched in July 1926. This was a huge undertaking against these entrenched northern warlords like the Zili clique.
And the NRA was successful. Why?
Because it wasn't a warlord army. CKS had built a politically motivated, well-equipped force. They had trained officers, modern organization, and support from the Russians and Germans. They moved with a purpose the warlords couldn't match.
But as the army moves north, the ideological cracks within the GMD start to widen.
They become chasms. As the nationalists take over cities, the communists are right there with them, organizing labor unions. Their influence just explodes.
And for CKS and the conservative wing, this is becoming a serious problem.
It's an existential threat. And this is where you see his shrewdness. He used the Soviets and the communists to build his army. But he knew to consolidate power, he had to make a final choice about who his allies were.
And that choice comes in 1927, suddenly and brutally.
The bloody coup, April 1927 in Shanghai. He makes his move.
A full-on purge.
A complete purge. And this is where those old Green Gang connections come roaring back. He uses them alongside his loyal NRA units to hunt down the communists.
He expels them from the GMD and just crushes the labor unions they'd organized.
This was more than a political split. It was a calculated act of force to eliminate his rivals.
Why then? Why Shanghai?
Because he needed the support of Shanghai's elite, the bankers, the merchants, the landowners. He couldn't get their backing while also hosting a radical communist movement inside his own party.
So the purge was a signal.
A very clear signal. CKS was choosing the conservative, propertied classes of China over the revolutionary left.
And just weeks later, his forces attack Wuhan and drive out his left-wing GMD rival, Wang Jingwei.
Which solidifies his control over the entire movement. From this point on, his anti-communist course is set in stone. He saw them as puppets of Moscow, not as legitimate Chinese nationalists.
So by 1928, the Northern Expedition is basically over.
Right.
CKS's forces enter Beijing.
He's done it. He's either defeated or absorbed the major warlord armies. He has, at least on paper, unified the nation.
And this allows him to set up his new central government in Nanjing.
Which marks the beginning of the Nanjing Decade. By October 1928, he's formally in charge of the State Council. He's the de facto leader of the Chinese Republic.
But military victory isn't enough. He needs political legitimacy. How does he get it?
He wraps himself in the legacy of Sun Yat-sen. He declares that China is now entering the second of Sun's 3 stages of development, a period of political tutelage.
Political tutelage.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit paternalistic. What does it mean in practice?
In the GMD rules alone, the idea was that the party had to educate the people in democracy before they could be trusted with it.
So it's the justification for a single-party dictatorship.
It's the perfect philosophical cover for his new authority, and he doesn't stop there. He builds a massive personality cult around Sun,
And then he marries into Sun's family.
a political masterstroke. In December 1927, he marries Sung Meiling. Her sister was Sun's widow.
And the Sung family was incredibly powerful.
They were wealthy, westernized, Christian, connected to all the Shanghai financial elites. The marriage instantly aligns CKS, this military man with underworld ties, with the most modern, respected family in China.
He even becomes Christian himself.
He does in 1930. It completes the transformation. He's now a sophisticated, modern national leader.
So let's just trace that again. The military rise, the political ruthlessness, and then it's all legitimized through Sun's philosophy and these powerful social connections.
That's the formula for his rise. But you have to look at who his allies are after 1927. His government in Nanjing is firmly aligned with the landowners and the merchants.
The conservative urban elite.
Yes, and in choosing them, he makes another choice.
To ignore the vast majority of the population.
He fundamentally ignores the plight of the impoverished peasantry who were 90% of the country. He wins the short-term battle for control of the GMD.
But loses the long-term war for the hearts and minds of the people.
He basically leaves that entire demographic, that huge rural base, wide open for the communists to capture.
So we've tracked his path through these critical stages. That foundation in Japanese military discipline.
Securing political legitimacy through his alliance with Sun Yat-sen.
Creating his own personal army at Whampoa, and then that absolutely ruthless 1927 coup that cemented his control.
And that decision in 1927 to side with the conservative elite was the real foundation of his power. But it came at a monumental cost. It secured his rule for the Nanjing decade, but it also guaranteed that the communist opposition would survive and thrive.
The sources mention that after the Japanese invasion began in 1931, CKS made a choice. He decided not to fight them with his full force until he had crushed the communists first. So here's a final thought for you to chew on. Given the political path CKS locked himself into by 1928, was that decision to prioritize the internal civil war over the external invasion an inevitable consequence of the very alliances that put him in power? Think about that, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.